Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey watching Paul and Karine on 90 Day Fiancé. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. Let's see if anything of interest comes out of my face as I watch the show. So I want to interrupt today's reaction video and provide the following statement. On the first episode in which I reacted to Paul and Karine, there were a bunch of concerns in the comments. Not all, but there were some concerns. And so I wanted to provide this disclaimer. And it's sort of a long story, so I hope that this is worth it. So in the beginning, a lot of you had been emailing me to talk about Nicole and Asin, to talk about Colt and Larissa and Darcy and this sort of thing. And Paul and Karine was on that list, and I knew nothing about them. And so I had always planned on going back in time and doing reaction videos about them. And I knew nothing about them. And then a couple weeks ago, a YouTuber had emailed me saying that he was very worried about Paul and that he wanted Paul to talk to me. So this other YouTuber, which I won't name because I don't know if he wants me to mention, but this other YouTuber emails me and says that he has been talking to Paul and he's really worried about Paul's safety and that he wanted me to talk to Paul. I told the YouTuber that I wasn't going to take Paul on as a client, but if Paul wanted to talk with me and he didn't have anyone else to talk to, then I'd be happy to talk with him, maybe provide resources, that sort of thing. So I agreed to talk with Paul to offer help. Paul called me, and I told Paul right up front, he's not a client. I'm not diagnosing anything. I have no interest in that. Maybe I can provide some resources or some education. And we talked for, I don't know, an hour or two, and he mostly just gave me a lot of information. He was giving me just all these stories about what had been happening recently. And he was very, very distressed. This is just before going to court, I believe. And I listened, and I just remember I was walking around in my backyard. It was a sunny day, and I was listening and thinking, well, he's not a client, so I don't have any clinical responsibility here. And I suppose this is interesting information. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't know why he's telling me this, but and then after a while, I stopped him. I said, so, you know, it's interesting information. What do you want from me? And he said, well, I guess I just want some education about some things. And so I fielded some questions from him about trauma and some other psychological conditions in general. I wasn't diagnosing from afar. And at the end of the conversation, he said he felt better. And he seemed to me to have a better perspective about what was happening to him in his life. But who knows? I don't know Paul. It was mostly a one-sided conversation. He was downloading a lot of information to me. At the end of the conversation, I asked him what he wanted me to disclose to the public, because I said I was planning on doing some reaction videos later that day. And I reminded him that he's not a client and that he doesn't have confidentiality. But I was just being polite, you know, I wanted to know from him, just human to human, what he wanted me to reveal. And he said that it was okay that I revealed that him and I had talked, but he was worried that if I revealed everything that he told me, it would affect his legal process. So I basically just in my head said, well, I don't really remember everything that he was saying because I wasn't taking notes and there was a lot of details. So I basically just tried to put a lot of the info out of my mind, honestly, because when I do the reaction videos, I want to be spontaneous. I don't want to have future information. The only reason why I even talked to Paul was because this other YouTuber had convinced me that there was some dire situation that someone needed to talk with Paul right away. Looking back, I probably just should have not talked with him at all. I probably just should have told the YouTuber to refer Paul to crisis services or something. And in the future, that's probably what I'm going to do. Because a lot of these people on these shows, various shows, are reaching out to me. And, you know, on one level, I care. You know, I'm a therapist and a human being, and I care about people. And so it feels bad to just say, no, don't call me when they're in a bad way. Again, I'm always sure to tell them, because I've been doing this for a long time. I've been a podcaster for 12 years. People occasionally will contact me, and I'm very clear, and I'm an expert on ethics and law because I supervise a lot of therapists. So I'm very clear with people. Look, you're not a client. I'm not diagnosing from afar, and I'm very careful about what I say. And I consult with other lawyers and other people like that. I have lawyers that tell me what to do, and I follow all the protocols, the standard of care. Anyway, so I mostly just tried to put the information out of my mind for the reason that I wanted to provide a spontaneous reaction video moving forward. I thought about not revealing to people that I had talked to him, but I just thought that that would be dishonest, and I always want to be honest with people. And so I decided to, in the videos, reveal that I had talked with him, to be honest with y'all. So then I proceeded over the span of a couple weeks to record 15 reaction videos of Paul and Karine. I sat down and watched the first season and halfway through the second season, and recorded 15 reaction videos prior to posting any of them. So I had these 15 reaction videos ready to go. Then my wife, who's in charge of all the tech stuff, she posted the first episode today, or yesterday. I think it was today, yeah. The comments were mostly positive, lots of people saying, yay, I've always wanted you to go into this couple. But there were some concerns. People worrying that I was going to take his side because I had talked to Paul, or people worried that I was going to be biased against Karine. And people even saying that I was believing his lies, quote unquote, his lies. And I get it. It makes sense. You depend on me to provide an unbiased take on these videos, and I really strive for that. So I've been a couples therapist since 1996. Some of you weren't even born yet. I've been a couples therapist for 2.5 decades. I've taught couple and family therapy for like 22 years and supervised many, many therapists. This is my life. I live couples therapy. I've treated hundreds, maybe thousands of couples, I don't know. And these couples that I've treated, many of them have been in extremely high conflict. Okay, so just understand that the kinds of thing I'm seeing in Paul and Karine, the storyline of their life that we know about today in mid-2020, is very familiar to me. I've been dragged into court. I've had all sorts of things happen. So this is my world. This is just going to work for me. This is very normal to me. And I've learned a lot of things over the years, but two things I want to point out that I've learned, and I hope you just trust me that I've learned these things, is that there are always two sides to every story. Now, this is an obvious thing, right? But I viscerally understand this. This is my life. This is what I teach my supervisees on an almost daily basis. All competent marriage and family therapists understand this, that when you talk to one person and you hear their story, there's always another side to the story. So that's principle one that I know very, very well. It's my job. The way a plumber can look at a pipe and tell what's wrong with it, I can talk to someone, hear their story, and say, well, there's another side to that story. I understand that's their narrative, and it's probably at least somewhat true, but there's another truth. And if I understood everyone's truth, maybe I would get an approximation of the truth that I would have if I saw the situation. I was a fly in the wall through the whole situation. So that's the one thing I've learned over my 2.5 decades of being a therapist. The second thing that I've learned, and I learned this very early, is that it's not my job to figure out what the truth is. People come to me for help. They do not come to me so that I can judge who's right and who's wrong. Many novice therapists still have that mindset, and that is a very destructive mindset that a therapist can have, even slightly. I'm not a judge, I'm a therapist, and there's a huge difference between those two. So as a therapist, it's not my job, and I like that. I don't want to be in a position where I'm trying to figure out who's right and who's wrong. I want to be helpful. I want to be helpful moving forward. The purpose of these reaction videos is thus, and I don't think I've ever really been explicit about this, and maybe for some of you this is kind of surprising, maybe you don't know this, but the purpose of me providing these reaction videos, of which now there's hundreds that I've made over the past few months because all of you have asked me to do this, is that I want to educate the public about attachment, communication, and healthy relationships. That's my mission in life. It's not a replacement for therapy, as I always say, but I just want to provide some education. And I don't think I realized the power that using these reaction videos, using these examples to be a jumping off point to talk about these topics. I had no idea how useful that would be to people. If I knew about this, I would have been doing these reaction videos a long time ago, because it really pains me to see people suffer in relationships. Now, again, these YouTube videos are not a replacement for therapy. You should definitely get a therapist if you're struggling. But a little bit of education about attachment theory, how to communicate well, and about healthy relationships, I think, is a good thing that I can do in the world. I can know that I go to bed at night saying, well, at least I gave it a try. I tried to help the public through education about this sort of thing. That's literally my purpose in life. You watching these videos are helping me realize the purpose of my life. So that's the purpose of these videos, is to educate about that. It is not my purpose in life to figure out who's lying. It's not my purpose in life to figure out who we should hate. So I just want to be clear about that. Now, I'm very curious, now that I've told you what the purpose of these videos are, is this what you want? Because I was under the impression that that's what you wanted. And I'm still mostly under that impression, but I want to make sure. Please comment below, let me know, because I might not be able to provide the sort of videos that you're looking for, I don't know. But this is a two-way relationship. For those of you who watch my videos, seemingly all of them, I do this because of you. Like, if no one was watching, I wouldn't be making these videos. And you know, there's a set of people who loyally watch these videos. The other thing I want to say is that I'm recording this right now on August 19th, 2020. I'm looking at the date right there. There is probably going to be more information coming out in the news moving forward. As of right now, August 19th, 2020, in the news, what's available to us is essentially allegations being made from both parties towards the other person. And I've been around the block enough to know that I don't know the truth. Either one could be true, they both could be true, they both could be confused. I've been around professionally enough to know that I really just don't know. So I recorded 15 reaction videos prior to making this video. So for the next, until you get to number 15, all those videos are going to be me, after talking to Paul, knowing nothing about what's in the news about Paul and Karine, trying to forget about what Paul told me, and just trying to spontaneously react to what's in the video. So I hope that that's okay with people. I really do. The kinds of allegations that are being made are very, very difficult and are very, very concerning. And if they are true, or even remotely true, we are looking at an extremely troubling relationship. At least one of these individuals is exhibiting very troubling behavior. So I do not want to sweep that under the rug. If those things are happening, I acknowledge that reality, that potential reality. I don't know what to do about that. Now, by the time you get to number 16 of the reality, or of me reaction, you know, doing reaction videos, which is like midway through season 2 with Paul and Karine, at that point, I'm up to speed, at least on the news up until August 19th, 2020. So I hope that this is cool. And I hope that this very, very long disclaimer helps people to understand where I'm coming from. And please let me know in the comments what you think. I am genuinely curious about what your thoughts are. And if you don't usually comment, please do so, because I feel like there's only a minority of people who tend to comment, which is fine. But I want to hear from everyone. I'm really curious about what your thoughts are about what I'm saying, and I'm open. Being a good therapist, being a good professor, being a good human means being open to feedback, and I am 100% open to feedback, so let me know. All right, let's get back to the reaction video.
I can't believe I've came all the way to Brazil to meet someone I've never met before. It's my first time navigating a foreign country in a foreign language that I do not fluently speak.
Yeah, I think this often happens to these Americans when they get to their destination, and it suddenly hits them like, wait, and I don't speak Portuguese. Hardly anyone speaks English. Why am I here? I don't feel safe. What is happening? And yeah, it always surprises me how surprised they are.
Oi, bolt dock. Bolt dock. Bolt dock. Bolt dock. Bolt dock. Bolt dock.
Sì.
Sim.
Yeah?
Yes, sì, siamo. Obrigada. Obrigado. Obrigado.
What was he saying? Was he saying boat dock? Boat dock?
And there's a lot of things to be concerned with and afraid of while in the Amazon. You got the pirates, cartel, mosquitoes.
Got it. Gotcha.
Snakes, spiders, diseases.
Bom dia.
Bom dia.
Bom dia. Bom dia.
Bom dia.
Bom dia. Bom dia. Idioma. No. No. Como te va?
Accidentally said I loved him.
Oops.
It's a bad mistake to make.
The thing about this show that I will say is that they certainly know how to pick characters. You know, Big Ed is a good example of that. Lisa is quite a character. And Paul is turning out to be quite a character as well.
I am definitely not proficient in speaking Portuguese. I don't know how I'm going to communicate with Karine. I got a long ways to go. This 2-day boat journey up the Amazon River is the final hurdle to meeting my girlfriend, Karine.
Oh, okay. So in my head, it was going to be like a tiny canoe that they were going to have to take up the river. But this looks like a, you know, a somewhat comfortable ferry that goes up the river. That's not so bad.
Loco, voy baggage.
Oh my God. So customs has to go through every single thing. It takes a team of custom agents to go through all of his stuff.
So I get my stuff pulled up to the boat. Police go through all my stuff. I don't know what they're thinking. I'm very stressed out. Inglés, fala inglés. Policia, fala inglés. Fala inglés. Police are asking me questions in Portuguese, and heart's racing right now.
Yeah, I can say I can relate to that. There was this one time when I went to Japan, and I was traveling by myself, meeting some friends of mine in Japan. And I land and I go through customs and I get to the custom agent and they want me to fill out this thing. And I left this one question blank. It was asking where I was going to stay because they ask, what hotel are you going to stay? I actually wasn't going to stay at a hotel. I was going to stay with a friend's family. And I didn't know the address because they were going to get me from the airport. I was going to go through customs and my friends were going to get me in the airport and we were going to go to where we were going to be staying. And so I didn't know what to put there. And so I go up to the customs agent and I'm like, so, here's all my paperwork, here's my passport, but I can't fill out this part because I don't know where I'm going to stay. My friend is actually probably just beyond that gate right there, and they'll have the address, and I don't have the address. And this was before cell phones were able to be used in other countries. This was like 07-ish time. And so I couldn't text my friend. It was now, of course, you would just text your friend. You'd be like, what's the address? And you'd get it. But I didn't have access to that. I didn't even know his phone number, I don't think. But anyway, the custom agent says, he was very angry at me, instantly dispelling the notion that all Japanese people are polite and wonderful and nice all the time. And he's just like, I'm Japanese, by the way. He says, get away. He doesn't give me an option. He just says, go away. He's just like, you're done. You're rejected. Go away. And I'm like, you don't want to piss off a border agent, right? So I'm like, okay. So I turn around and I'm looking around. There's no visitor center. There's no one to talk to. There's long lines. Who do I go to? I don't have any way of contacting my friend. I don't have any way to call home. There's no digital device in my hand that I could actually connect with the outside world. And I'm just stuck in this limbo between, the airplane and the border. And I didn't know what to do. And I'm sweating bullets. And I'm like, am I going to spend the night in jail? Well, how am I going? I'll go home if I could, but I don't even know how to do that. So, and I'm admitting this on in public, but so I went. I can't remember exactly how I did this, but I said, you know what? I'm going to fabricate an address. I'm just gonna fabricate, because I'm pretty sure the custom agents, they don't look up the address, right? And Tokyo is a vast sea of addresses. But I don't know how to make up a Tokyo address because, they're on a different convention of addresses, right? So I think I found a brochure or something, and I saw an address, and I just kind of jumbled it up a little bit, wrote it on there, gave it to the agent, and the agent just let me through, and I got into Tokyo, and my friends were on the other side, and they took me, and everything was fine. But there was a moment there where you just panic, and you're just like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So I can relate to Paul in this moment.
The dog is alerting on my duffel bag. I'm a little nervous.
Something I thought was okay and legal might actually be illegal in Brazil.
The dog was literally trying to kill one of his bags.
Cop drops from the regular store.
I think the dog smelled this.
Oh, okay. Is it okay?
That's okay.
Okay. Apparently, the dog alerted on my cough drops. So, luckily, I'm all clear, and I'm very relieved right now.
Finish here.
Okay.
We need to go to your room.
So I can take everything up there, it's okay? Good to go? Arigato.
Oh, boy.
I've been put through the ringer, and I haven't even got the chance to meet Karine yet.
I just need to check into my cabin, ride out the next 2 days, and I can finally hold Karine in my arms. Ah.
Sí, este aquí, sí.
Sí.
Vista.
Vista. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, that looks really nice. That's, it's a nice cruise. That's great. In my head, they were going to go up the river in a boat like that. I don't know why. Maybe that's ignorance. Yeah, I'm sure it's ignorance on my part.
Yay. Hi.
There's always this moment, and every time that you ask me to watch these different couples, the world is their oyster. They're elated to see each other. It's all lovey-dovey times and happy times and tears and laughter and looking into each other's eyes and infatuation, new relationship energy, hugging each other, unconditional, attraction to each other. And then the season continues and we see where things go. And so I just want to pause and take a moment to enjoy this moment, the eye of the storm, if you will. In every tsunami, there's that peaceful moment when the water recedes from the beach and you're like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what's happening. And then the tsunami overtakes the land and destruction and horribleness ensues. So let's try to remember this moment as we move forward. Now, I will say, as a couples therapist, I often wish with these couples that I could, or someone could work with them so that they could harness this wonderful feeling that they have and protect it with couples therapy. A lot of couples come to me in various stages of their relationship. People who come to me in the beginning fare much better moving forward. Couples that come to me 25 years in and they've had 20 years of difficulties and resentment and contempt to build up against each other have a much harder time. So it's not as if they're doomed. It's not a tsunami necessarily. It's just often it is, because otherwise you wouldn't be asking me to watch this couple if there weren't difficulties. And I talked to Paul last week, and he told me about how many difficulties they've been through, both relationally and legally and all that kind of stuff. So, but it's nice to see. It's nice to see people in love.
You know, we are 18 years apart. He's 24. I'm 42. Not in the best shape of my life right now. He hasn't seen that, full just yet.
Remember this couple? It's interesting. I catch little snippets of Jesse and Darcy way back when. All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. As always, if you could subscribe below, hit the bell, like this video, comment below, become a patron. And if you want to contact me, click on the link below. Also, we have merch. So if you want merch, you can get merch. All right. Well, let's see where this goes next time. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.